We're going to explain the type error, failed to execute fetch on window, invalid value error. This frustrating JavaScript error crops up when you're using the fetch API, which is a modern way to make network requests, like getting data from a server. The core problem is that you're giving the fetch function something it doesn't understand as its first argument, the URL you want to fetch data from. Let's break down the common causes and how to fix them. 1. Incorrect URL. The most frequent culprit is a simple typo in your URL. Double-check for any extra spaces, incorrect capitalization, or missing slashes. Make sure the URL is a valid string and accurately points to the resource you intend to access. For example, if you're targeting https://api.example.com/data, ensure you haven't accidentally written https://api.example.com/data, right single quote, or https://api.example.com/data. 2. Undefined or null URL. The fetch function absolutely requires a URL. If your URL variable is undefined, it hasn't been assigned a value, or null, it's been explicitly set to nothing, you'll get this error. Always ensure your URL variable is properly defined and assigned a valid URL before calling fetch. Use debugging tools in your browser's developer console to inspect the value of your URL variable and verify that it's correctly set. 3. Using a number instead of a string. The fetch function expects a string representing the URL. If you're accidentally passing a number, it will throw this error. For example, if your URL is stored in a variable and you're inadvertently treating it as a number, ensure it's clearly defined as a string, like https://api.example.com/data. 4. Incorrect data type in URL construction. If you are constructing the URL dynamically, building it from parts, make sure all parts being concatenated are strings. If one of the parts is a number or another non-string data type, this will lead to an incorrect URL. Explicitly convert numerical values to strings using the write single quote .toString method before adding them to the URL. 5. Coarse issues. Cross-origin resource sharing. This is a more advanced issue. If you're trying to fetch data from a different domain than your website, the server you're requesting data from needs to be configured to allow cross-origin requests. This is handled on the server side, not in your client-side JavaScript code. If this is the case, you need to check the server's configuration to ensure it properly handles coarse headers. Often this requires changes on the server or using a proxy. 6. Browser caching problems. In rare cases, a corrupted browser cache can contribute to such errors. Try clearing your browser's cache and cookies and reloading the page. 7. Debugging tips. Utilize your browser's developer console, usually accessed by pressing F12. The console will often provide more specific error messages or clues about the exact line of code causing the problem. Also, use the debugger statement or breakpoints to step through your code and inspect the values of your variables at each step. This helps pinpoint where the URL is becoming invalid. Always console.log your URLs to check their value before you use them with fetch.